guys, welcome back. So as if you saw my previous video, you know that we're going to be doing a reaction video today to my boy MTR, Mediocre Tourism Reviews. And this is one of the videos, I think it was one of the first videos I saw of his from the very beginning when I found his video. I think this has to be probably the first one I came across, if I'm not, unless I saw this specific video somewhere else, but I think I saw it with him, and it's very touching, very moving. So let's go ahead and watch it, shall we?
Without further ado,
if I could give anyone a piece of advice for divorce, it would be to not do it under normal circumstances. If your spouse is beating you or threatening you or your children, then of course, get out and fast. In my case, there was no abuse. We were together for 8 years. That was mostly good, and we have 4 kids. Right around 5 years, I got a promotion at work, and I got it in my head that my ex-husband was dragging me down, or at least holding me back from more success.
shout out to Feminism. You have struck again, all right? If it was truly about equality, then her getting a promotion while the guy doesn't shouldn't bother her one bit, but let's keep going.
And a better life.
To just add to that part, like seriously, it's insane. Like when you look things into perspective and you try to like see things from after everything that I've been through, I kind of like can now see things from different perspectives, and I now see it. Like I realize it's like, wow, like in a different, I don't know, time, like it just seems so ridiculous that people fight and find something such as like, oh, he's getting in the middle of my success, he's interfering with my career, as like the most callous, selfish, superficial mentality way of thinking like ever, you know. And it's just, wow, it just like to some people that's a normal way of thinking. That's normal. Like career comes first, and that's career oriented women. And at the end of the day, that kind of like focus and prioritizing your career over anything else, over family, over love, over anything, it only leads to loneliness, to a lonely, pathetic life. But let's keep going.
We never had a lot of money, but with my promotion, I was now making more than he was. I started working longer hours, and at the same time, his hours were cut, so he was at home more. I really began to resent him because he was home and because he got to spend time with our kids. Most nights when I got home, they were already getting ready for bed, if not already.
You chose
sleeping.
that.
After a few months of my new job,
I would have been like, I don't think I'm liking this, and I would have figured out to not
going well at home without me there. Some nights the dishes weren't done when I got home, or the kids hadn't eaten, or whatever else I could think of to be mad at him about. It really didn't matter. He kept saying that he would try harder, but that it was hard being home all the time. That always made me really mad. For the next couple years, things kept getting worse. My hours weren't any shorter, and his were on and off full-time. There was no convenient time for him to be working full-time because of my hours, but we also needed the money. Whenever he would tell me that he could get extra...
This guy is trying his best to accommodate his job to her job, because apparently she got a promotion, something he didn't ask her to get, but he supports her, he respects her, she gets this promotion, and now everything needs to be tangled and wrapped around her job and her needs and priorities, and she's angry because she's not spending time with her kids. The house is falling apart. If she's making all this money and she has a good job, like, then why can't she figure out things to, like, maybe have to have a housekeeper, have a babysitter that can watch the kids? First of all, that's one of the other reasons why moms belong in the house. Why the fuck you go ahead and have 4 kids that you're not even going to spend time raising? Oh my God, this like by the end of this video, like I've been bawling my eyes off because it's horrible that the real people suffering the consequences. I mean, everybody suffers, especially the guy, but the casualties of a situation like this, they have zero culpability, because if anything, we say in a marriage, both of them have a little bit of culpability. This guy for allowing things to go this far, and her for being a terrible person. But the ones that have zero culpability in this are the children. They are the only casualties here. They are the only ones that have done nothing to deserve this, and their life gets torn apart and they get thrown around like they don't matter. And that's the sad thing about this feminist ideology, that just puts women into the workplace. When you put women into the workplace, not only makes the economy harder for everyone else, because now that most people work, now everybody raises up everything because they know they can afford it. They know one person can't afford to live by themselves, so now they're forcing families, they're forcing couples, two incomes to be able to support a household, which is the saddest part. And on the meantime, these children are being raised by themselves. They're being raised with babysitters or by their goddamn selves, being sick out and after programs in school and everything. And that is freaking horrible. Like, why? I mean, I do believe there's some women just shouldn't be mothers at all, like whatsoever. And if they just happen to become moms, these kind of things are going to continue to happen, and we just need to learn how to overcome, parent traumas and stuff like that. But if you want to be if one of your goals in life is to be a good parent, to be a better parent than your parents, then for the love of God, do go to school. Do try to educate yourself, because the worst thing you can be in this world, in my opinion, is being ignorant. Do try to educate yourself. Do try to learn about things. Do be ready in the event that maybe you lose your partner and you are forced to get back into the workforce. Maybe something happens, your partner gets hurt or can't work and you have to work, or for some reason you just have the time and you choose to work at least part-time. Do get an education. Do learn how to do something so you're ready to do it. But do not plan your life around a career, because if there's going to be a working person in the home, it's recommended that is the dad, because most kids want to spend time with their mom. And if you as a mom are the one with the career, then you need to be okay with the fact that and your husband needs to be on board with the fact that he's going to be a stay-at-home dad, maybe work part-time, but he's going to be the one spending most of the time with the children, and your children are going to have a stronger bond with their dad than with you. Just need to understand that is just the logical, the natural source of events that is going to happen. Because people go on to doing things, think they can do everything, it's going to be fine, and that's just not how it's going to happen. Your children are not going to spend enough time with you, and they're going to grow up so fast, and you are going to miss most of it, because most of your day, most of your time, you're going to spend it at work instead of seeing your children grow up.
And the less hours he worked, the more I complained that
The hell?
Bringing in enough money.
She started off this whole thing talking about that there wasn't abuse that happened within this marriage. But he wants to get more hours, and you complain. He'll get less hours, and then you complain as well. That's emotional abuse, and I'd argue that emotional
She's a complainer.
Abuse
she's a toxic
worse
person.
Than physical abuse. You can see the scars of the physical abuse, but the emotional abuse often can go undiagnosed and can be even traumatic and long-lasting than physical abuse.
It's so stressful for any person, but let alone a man that, barely spends time with his wife. He realizes his wife is not the mother that he would ideally wish to have for his children, for his offspring, that he's trying to best to be the best supportive partner he can be, and then only to be nagged and be put down for everything that he doesn't do right. Like, oh, can I get more hours? Yeah, you should work more. There's not enough money. Okay, can I work? Oh my God, you're gonna work again. The house is a mess. Like, come on. Like, this lady, Okay, I'm just gonna say it off the bat. I don't wanna. I'm actually really proud that she actually had finally. I guess she came she came to a realization after everything happened about how bad, and she's being honest. At least she's taking accountability, which I have to give her that. Most people never do. Most people never, ever, ever accept, and I know so many of them, never, ever accept anything they do wrong. Everything that ever happened to them was because other people made them do it. Other people are responsible. Other people push them to act this way. It was never their decision. It was never their fault. Ever, ever. And they'll never come and tell you the shit that they did to the other person. Only the things that the other person did to them. So at least this is brave, and I'm glad that she did this, because this is a message for a lot of women. You need to realize your actions. Like, be like, men are trash and da. I answered to this one video on TikTok. About why men cheat, because Pearl from Pearly Things, she was talking about like, yeah, well, like, men cheat because a lot of y'all don't even cook for them, don't take care of your men, blah blah blah, right? It's just kind of like going off, and that gets people fired up. But then one of them was like, well, I did all those things. I cooked, I never cheated. I cooked for him, I took care of him, I did everything right, and he still cheated, and yeah, I want to believe it. I do know some cases where, like, yeah, like the girls, I mean, like, nobody's perfect, right? And the girl does do everything right, and the guy is still ungrateful. Many of them have, like, addiction problems, or alcoholics, or they just have an addiction where that obviously really hurts their behavior within the relationship. And the woman tries everything possible, but they're just toxic with each other and just works out. But there's something that you always hear one side of the story, but the fact is it's never a good sign when a person says, I did everything right and he still cheated. I did everything right. The fact that they don't take accountability is because they're still on that victim mentality. There has to be something that you might have done wrong. There has to be, So, and if you didn't, then yeah, maybe you were just one of those very unlucky women. But a lot of men are, they're just humans. A lot of them are noble, they're kind, they're romantic, they're caring. We'll keep seeing this, but all I have to say is that taking accountability is really important, and there's a great message that she's providing here to show you women that there's always those little things that you can be doing, you can be saying that can really hurt the relationship. This could be a different story. This could be her, like, this could have been a story of, like, the husband leaving her for somebody else, because this could be the other way around. She could have been so nagging, so on top of it, that the man could have gotten tired of her shit and went and found refuge in one of his co-workers or something else. And why not? Why the hell not? If everybody will be looking, any normal person will be looking for an escape from his miserable reality, when you have nothing but a nagging person at home, or a person that just doesn't treat you right, or you just don't bond with anymore, But I digress.
You sound like an abuser.
Whenever he brought up the contradiction, I would tell him that he needed to figure it out.
Oh, God.
I knew that it would bother him, so I started saying that a lot, and for everything that I could. I really started to resent him, and I pulled away from him. I knew that it was hurting him, but I didn't care. If he didn't want to be hurt, then he would at least try to make me happy. I used that same thing to justify when I started to talk to another guy at work.
Oh, God!
That's a type of what's the word, avoidance, like when people are, like, arguing and they just deflection. That's a type of deflection when he's trying to address the arguments and the things that she's saying in the situation between them, and instead of her trying to listen to him and be all like, yeah, you're right, let's work out, be like, no, you know what, figure it out, and you do this, and just deflect, throw it back at him, so he just never feels like nothing. So he gets stuck with the problem, and the situation never moves forward. And also the type of deflection, because so that she didn't have to say, when you feel so shitty, when you feel like unhappy with yourself, you can't help but to make other people unhappy. So when you're so unhappy, you just don't understand, you don't want to come to terms, like, it's me, I'm the problem, I'm the toxic one, I'm the one with the issues. I need to know, how can I not be this way? How can I change? One thing that a lot of people do instead is that they go and make the situation worse. Like, they try to find a distraction from what they're doing. They go and just pretty much distract themselves. Like in this case, she went and started talking to another man as a form of like kind of like it's a type of what do you call it, a spite, in spite of it, a spitefulness, a type of spitefulness. But the situation, it's almost like she's angry at him. Like, when you feel so shitty, you need to find somebody to blame for like how you feel. So what the brain usually does, what the ego does, is so that you don't feel bad with yourself, about yourself, you have to deflect the feeling towards, who is the responsible for this. Well, he is. That's why she started resenting him. She was like, he's the one responsible for making me feel this way. Therefore, in spite of that, I'm gonna go and get myself another man that can make me feel good. And that is just the psychology behind it. That's it.
Just a friend. But talking at work turned into texting at home, and then pictures and videos, and then trying to sneak some alone time with him. I knew that it was wrong, but it made me feel so alive, and my husband had not made me feel like that in years.
Okay, we got a strumpet on our goddamn hands. You're an emotionally abusive wife that chose to get that promotion. He didn't choose to you get a promotion or work longer hours. That's a component of the reason why I stopped trying to climb the ladder. Because I'm looking up at the top and I'm just like, I see the work-life balance. Like, I see all these different types of things, and they're doing it for another organization, right? Like, you know what you're setting yourself up for. But based off of your choice to be a career woman, you are now emotionally abusing your husband.
Yeah.
And now you're being a thought rocket, going on vacation with Chad, the work husband, while your husband is at home taking care of the children, the 4 children.
I was tired of being unhappy.
Oh, you're unhappy.
I was doing this for me. The worst was the night I came home.
I deserve to be happy.
Found that he had cleaned the whole house, cooked the whole family dinner, and picked out a movie for all of us.
He's a sweetheart.
Together. This would have made me swoon a couple years earlier, but that night I couldn't even look at him, and I pretended to be sick. I spent the rest of the night in bed.
She was already fucking another guy.
And checked on me, and even made me different food and brought it to me in bed. It made me feel terrible, and then it made me angry that he made me feel.
That he made you feel. Oh,
and
wow.
At the end of the night, I was texting with the other guy. Over the next month or two from that night, it did not matter.
She's a tyrant.
He was wrong just for breathing most days. He would get so upset with how I was treating him, and I would just wait and egg him on into losing it because I knew it would happen eventually.
You know what I'm also thinking about when I'm watching this? Shout out to Will and Jada. The intricacies of emotional damage that can happen within a relationship to the culmination of happy wife, happy life is what I see in a lot of these different situations where these men are just ghosts of their former selves, and they just understand how everything that they try to do just continues not to make her happy. They don't understand that. But the difficulty within here is that, guys, you must be the owner of the castle, and a lot of the times that will require you to date down. So this is why this dynamic right here demonstrates perfectly why so many dudes don't like or want to position themselves around these masculine, career-oriented and driven women that can't turn the off switch on when they go back home, because then their emotions don't push with logic, and they just create this weird feelings-based environment, this directionless environment where even her trying to communicate what he can do to improve just makes no goddamn sense. And it's a contradiction within itself. This is why dudes look at that archetype of woman and we tell y'all that what y'all bring in doesn't matter. But behind the words is the characteristics that you're going to display when that's the case.
After most of the fights we had, he would apologize for whatever I told him he did.
Sorry, honey.
If there even was something. But I never did.
I'm apologizing. I don't know why.
Even worse. I
That's
knew
so sad,
that I was
dude.
right because he was wrong.
She's a psychopath.
And that was all that mattered to me.
Wow.
I even pretended that I didn't care when he...
No. I don't think she's a psychopath. She just has high levels of narcissism, which is nowadays becoming such a common thing. It could be, I guess I'm starting to suspect that narcissism just gets developed on certain individuals based on their life experiences, how they were raised, and certain personality traits that could turn you into a narcissist. I think anyone can literally be turned into a narcissist. In my opinion, I don't think you're just like born a narcissist. But what I really see right here, what I truly see right here, is a woman, is the typical woman adapting high levels, high traits of masculinity. High masculinity, toxic masculinity in a woman, it's perceived so differently than on an actual man. Because on a man, it's natural. It's natural to sometimes like they have these hormones that make them act a little, and also bad upbringing, of course, right? Bad upbringing, maybe childhood traumas, whatever. But it is within their nature to have all this testosterone and be a little toxic because of how, aggressive men are by nature. But to have this behavior in a woman, it's just really like bizarre. Well, not so much anymore. Not so much. Thank you, modern woman. Not so much in these times, but it's still like from when you see things from a principle-centered kind of person, from a principle-centered kind of standpoint, it is really bizarre because it's like dude, like that is so unnatural. Like you're supposed to be. You have 4 kids for the love of God. Your nature is supposed to be nurturing towards your kids, towards your husband, to see your, the nuclear family, the basis, the principles of keeping your family attached, and to try everything possible to work things out with your partner as your main priority in life. To me, I always thought like, I had dreams of being an entrepreneur and being a filmmaker and being all kinds of stuff, career stuff. And I always thought I'm weird. I like being creative, so I always, thought it would be really fun to be this and make my dad proud, right? And I just thought that was kind of like the ultimate thing, and I thought I could do it all. My parents were both like entrepreneurs, so I just always thought like I could be anything I want. But I was raised with the wrong idea because my parents were also in that boat, and they were really young when they had me. So now that I know better, I just realized that. But also, I always had it in me to think like, no matter what, it was a time where I thought I was never gonna find love, and no one's ever gonna love me because I was like, I thought, look, I'm weird, and I'm more on the intense side of the personality spectrum, right? I'm an intense kind of person. I'm ADHDer. I have a lot of masculine traits. I have a lot of childhood, teenage traumas, hardship that I went through, and been also in that, poor me victim mentality for some time as well. So all that turned me into this nobody's gonna, put me down and make me do this, and I'm not gonna put up with any man, and da-da-da. But also a big side of me when I would think like, man, face the possibility of being forever single, like that was one of my biggest fears. And this is a very young age, because I always loved, the idea of being loved, and I was hopelessly romantic. So I always thought like when I was going through my first breakup and depression, well, it wasn't my first breakup, but it was my first serious relationship breakup. And I was facing the possibility of thinking like, you know what, there goes the only crazy man that would ever love me, that would ever accept me for who I am. That's another topic. When somebody has to, thinking that people have to accept you for who you are, That is a very, very broad statement. Yeah, that is a broad statement. That is a broad statement to think that it's like, oh, when am I gonna find somebody that's gonna love me for who I am? Who you are right now may not be who you might be tomorrow. Like people, if you like the idea of growing, evolving, learning, becoming a better person, there's no way you're gonna stay being the same person. I am so different. If you met me a few years ago and I ever did something to you that pissed you off or ever did something stupid, please understand that I am such a different person today. I am not. I learned from that mistake. I look back to that day with embarrassment, and I am a different person today. So that's why you can't think that you want people to accept you for who you are, because you need to realize that sometimes who you are maybe not who you really want to be. Maybe a toxic kind of person. So how about you think about like, I want to be with this kind of person and I want to become this kind of person so I can be with this kind of person. That's the mentality you need to have. So in that time, I did not know any of this. Long story short, I don't care to make a lot of money. Like if I can't find love, if I can't find myself a man, a husband, and assure myself, a future with someone, and make sure that I'm gonna be a mother one day, I'm gonna have a family. Like I don't want anything else. I don't want a career. I don't want money. I don't want luxury. I don't want any of that. These masculine traits are just what make women act like this. They try to be so much like man and be so much like try to think like man and be this career and then my career, my thing, and start feeling ego, and it's unnatural in a woman. It's toxic, it's nasty. She couldn't even see her partner as her partner. She saw him as her enemy, as her like, you're bringing me down. You're just a barrier, you and the kids and everything. You're just a barrier in my life. And it's just like she just wasn't even sure what the hell she was doing, because she was so unsure and miserable, because the mentality that she had, the mindset that she had about, all the decisions that brought her through her life, that brought her to this point, were so like unthought about and so toxic and wrong from the very start, that she didn't know who to blame but herself. She didn't know what else to do. She had two options: fucking reason and be like, you know what? Fucking, I'm gonna be the breadwinner, but I'm gonna be under the circumstance that my husband's gonna have to work part-time. He's gonna be the one, wanting to talk. I want you to have the home ready, blah, blah. You're gonna be a breadwinner, and that's it. Or say, you know what? Maybe I'm just gonna do this for a few years, make some money, and then I'm gonna change the job where I work less, because honestly, I don't wanna do this forever. Most women do not. It's been proven over and over again. Most women get tired of their jobs. Yeah, it's fun for a little bit, but you don't want to do it forever. So yeah, be careful what kind of career you get into and how much money you really want to invest on that career. Because once you're really invested, all that's in your mind is like, I gotta make my money's worth, my money's back, and then you get stuck in the loophole, and that's why a lot of women end up never getting, a lot of career women end up never getting married. You make it to your 30s, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble.
That was all that mattered to me.
Wow.
I even pretended that I didn't care when he found out about my relationship with the guy from work. It really destroyed me inside to see him holding back tears. But I wasn't going to let him see that. He was at his weakest, and that was when I chose to tell him that I wanted a divorce.
Oh, this,
Oh my
I
she's,
almost hear his heart shattering inside his chest.
That is
she's the
callous, dude.
Unabomber.
And fought and said that we could work through it together.
Oh my God.
I really wasn't interested in fixing our marriage, but I mostly ended things with the other guy, but only because I knew I could get it back if I wanted it. I could see.
Now, this strong, career-oriented woman has 4 kids, and now she's on the dating marketplace because she chose to break up her own happy home. Unbelievable.
That he was trying, and occasionally I would let him know.
Dude, he
But for the
still
most
was
part, I kept
trying.
a huge
He was begging her.
any and all reasons that I could think of. I'm not sure how much more the man could have done to make me happy, besides finding a job that paid enough for me to not have to work.
That's exactly what she wanted. There you go. That's exactly what you still. Okay, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Before I heard that, I was gonna say nothing that he could have done would have made her happy. Because when you are in that mindset of a victim person, when you're in that mindset of like of unhappiness, you know, it's really hard to please you, because you're just, the unhappiness and the negativity is inside you, is within you. It's everything you do and say is negative. So therefore you bring everybody down with you, and trying to make you happy is just never ending start, until she got exactly what she wanted, which is a man that would give her the lifestyle that she wanted, so she didn't have to work. Because what she really wanted is to not have to work, but she was stuck with this, you know, rat race, and, you know, keeping up with the Jones idea of like, I want to still have my house, and I want to have this, and I have this lifestyle, I want da, but, you know, I don't want to work, but then I have to work, I have to have this lifestyle. And it's just kind of like, why can't you just live under these means? Like, live within your means, have a less luxurious, find ways to save money so you can still live a happy life with your family without having to work.
To make me happy, besides finding a job that paid enough for me to not have to work at all. He said that he was looking, but looking and finding are two different things. I started saying awful things to him,
Belittling him,
outright ignoring him. I was so confident,
belittling this man for not making more money,
opinion, that I contacted a lawyer, and within a couple weeks had filed for divorce.
Notice what she said. I was so confident with mine and everyone else's opinion. So, what does that mean? She was in her modern woman echo chambers.
Yeah.
She was in the modern woman echo chambers.
My man said it.
Was talking about all the shit that's wrong with him, and all homegirls like, yeah, what is he doing? God, man ain't shit. He's doing what? He can't even clean up the house for you every single time before you get home. Right? Like, what do you mean? He's making you go out and work, and
these echo chambers. Why? I hate people that tell you what you want to hear.
Meanwhile, you're robbing him of his masculinity. You're stripping him of his soul, so he's this dirty, wilted flower zombie of a man that's had his former glory and essence ripped from out of him.
It went pretty smoothly. The ex-husband didn't ask for much besides
the
to not get divorced and to try to work it all out. I didn't care about that though. He was broken, but I was free. I could do whatever I wanted without having to feel any guilt or answer to anybody. It was an amazing feeling of freedom. It didn't last long though.
For the streets!
The first month after he moved out, I missed garbage day
God,
3 times. There was also rarely a single clean dish, and the laundry sat in piles so long that I had to start doing the sniff test to see if it could be worn again.
Oh, she's nasty.
I also never saw my kids more miserable.
Oh, she had them.
My oldest had seen some of the messages from the other guy months earlier, and she knew that the ex-husband still wanted to try to work it out. It didn't take her long to stop talking to me at all, except to say that she wanted to go to my ex-husband's house.
Yeah,
the others
they don't like you.
Told me they wanted to live with the ex-husband too. I did my best to try to make them happy, but I ended up just buying them toys all the time, and the happiness only lasted minutes. I also was having a lot of trouble with work. Being alone, I couldn't work all those extra hours
of course
that I was expected to. I finally gave in and started calling the ex-husband to watch the kids. He would always come over as soon as he could, and he always asked me if I needed anything. When I would get home, I would find clean dishes and laundry and even dinner sometimes. He would never say too much after I got home. He would just say to call him if I needed anything, and then he would leave.
It was so home.
One night,
who is this saint?
Garbage. I brought it to the curb because it was garbage night, and I forgot again. He always looked so sad when it was time to go. Finally, after a couple months, my friends convinced me to go out on a date. It was for dinner and a movie, and I was excited and hopeful. But at dinner, I started getting a feeling of overwhelming guilt.
Shut up! What type of guy gets cheated on and is at her every beck and call? Move on with your life. Move on with your life. Go do better next time.
It got so bad that I ended up not even going to the movie. A week and about 1 million tears later, I was on a therapist's couch. I told her everything.
You should have been on the couch.
The promotion that I got at work. She did not agree with me or with any of the encouragement to divorce that I got. I ended up in her office 2 and sometimes 3 times a week. And the more that I talked to prove that I was right, the more that I started to see how wrong I was. It was truly heartbreaking. I don't know if I cried as much in my whole life as I did in the first months in her office. After about $2,000 of therapy sessions, I learned that my ex-husband had his faults, but I figured out that mine were so much worse. I did so many awful things and said awful things that I wouldn't want to be with me, but he did. I still remember him
Lord knows why.
in the meeting.
A lot of men put up with a lot of
to
shit from
please
women.
not go through with it. I did go through with it though. And then later I bragged on here how great it felt.
My God, why if even the therapist told her that she was in the wrong and she needed to that she was the one that was being the toxic one, and she still went ahead and divorced him. Like, why? Like, some people are just, this is just proof that some people are just so stuck to, she wanted to prove herself that she was right with the decision. She wanted to go forward. Like, her ego was just so up her ass. And a lot of you women, please understand, a lot of you women are on that same exact boat, and understand that you're only hurting yourself and you're hurting your own children by acting this way. We need to be humble and understand the consequences of our action, and understand that sometimes we are in the wrong, and it's okay, and it's a human to make mistakes and fuck up, but it's of the wise to rectify.
I was so wrong, and now I can see it. A couple weeks ago,
Just real quick, and this also demonstrates the importance of therapists, right? Because what did she say? I was in my echo chamber, everybody agreed. I went into on a therapist's couch, and after $2,000, I came to this understanding, right? So it was a $2,000 investment to not forego all of the other bullshit that she had encumbered in her life. If she got therapy at the point where the toxicity began to start, she recognized that she was being emotionally abusive. At that part, go get therapy. This is your husband. But in society today, marriage is not a function of something that you don't have a choice to get up out of. Oh, but if I get up out of it, then I gotta move away out of my house. I gotta let my kids just stay over here, right? But y'all just willy-nilly get married at 20-something years old before you've developed yourself and your purpose, right? So you can have a young terrorist of a young woman come through like this and exact whatever emotional damage that she's going through within her life and is experiencing with you on you. Y'all are out your minds fundamentally. Let's move on. It's
I went
almost over.
outside with him when he was leaving the house. I asked him about getting...
He better have said no.
When he looked at me, his eyes were full of tears, and a couple went down his cheeks. He told me that he didn't know if he could.
Okay.
He said that the pain has been too much for too long,
Okay.
and that if we got back together, that I might just turn
Yes.
around and do it to him.
Yes.
He said that he always thought that I would realize how much he loved me and stop up until I signed the divorce papers.
Yeah, but you went through
Yeah.
it.
Big, over-exaggerated sigh of relief. He said that hurt him more than anything else, and that he doesn't know if he can ever trust me again.
Big true.
I don't blame him. I destroyed a man who, looking back, was a great husband. I deprived my kids of having a great father in the house with them, and I took his kids away from him. And me, the one who pushed for the divorce, expecting happiness and a life of freedom,
It's not reality.
spend all my free time sitting at home,
Lonely.
or sitting on a therapist's couch. If your marriage is bad, look at yourself first and see if you can make changes. This is advice for men and women. Getting divorced is not fun. Being divorced is not fun. And seeing your husband broken and your children never happy because of your actions
It's almost
is the
like
most
if it happened to somebody
painful
else.
experience that I can imagine.
And above all, getting married to a insurgent is not fun as well. Truth be told, I don't even know what else to say about a story like this. It just leaves you with a dirty, sickening, crumbling taste within your mouth regarding some of the personalities that you can run into from a dating, courting, relationship, marriage perspective. But I think that this crazy lady's story is just more evidence to prove when I say that one of the most important decisions that you will ever make in your life is deciding correctly when it comes to a significant other, if you choose to decide.
Oh my God. Oh my God, this is so painful to watch. Just thinking about the shit that some men have to go through with women like this, and it's like I'm just a little taken like back at the fact that she talks about this with such like as if it happened, like as if she's reading a story from as if it happened to somebody else, and she's so detached from the situation. What happened to her work husband? What, it didn't work out after? Like he just wanted a fling, but he didn't want nothing serious. Of course he wouldn't want nothing serious with a divorced woman with 4 children, you know? Like, it amazed me for a career, intelligent woman, like, how can you be so stupid and such a simple thing? Like, something so dumb, like anybody could have foreseen that from miles away, but she had to go through all this ridiculousness. Like, obviously this woman has issues. She has problems. She was not raised right. Her parents either let her do whatever the fuck she wanted, or gave her too much ego, or like they made her feel like you can do whatever you want, honey. You don't let any man stop you, and and like that is such a confusing message to spread out there, because they make it look like don't let any man. Yeah, there's bad people out there. There's bad men. There's definitely men who just were, and I honestly, there is a lot of bad men, but I don't think they're the majority of them. I think the majority of men are good men.
I can taste your words. I can taste